5 p.m. on 3FM 92.7. Welcome to Hot Edition. Coming up tonight, government orders immediate payment to cocoa farmers and announces a raft of reforms to restructure the cocoa sector. Tonight, we break down the measures and assess whether they can deliver real change.
As a result of that, the PPLC thereby announces that effective today, Thursday, 12 February 2026, the new producer price for the remainder of the 2025-2026 crop season will now be 41,392 Ghana cedis per ton and 2,587 Ghana cedis per bag.
We'll hear from the Finance Minister and other stakeholders in the sector. Also tonight, Deputy Minister of Education, Dr. Clement Apaak, confirms the arrest of 2 students in connection with a gang rape and stabbing incident during the recently held inter-schools games. Meanwhile, the Ghana Education Service has banned 3 schools from participating in sporting and other extracurricular activities over the incident. Tonight, we engage education policy experts on the implications and the measures needed to prevent a recurrence. Details of this and more coming up in the next hour. Stay with us. But now, my colleague Nura Mohammed has a summary. Nura, talk to us.
Good evening. You're welcome to the news summaries on Hot Edition. I am Nura Mohammed. First in the summaries. In much sadder news, the Minister for Education, Haruna Idrisu, and the Deputy Minister for Communications and Digital Technology, Honorable Mohammed Adam Suparu, are in stable condition following a road traffic accident on the Bolgatanga-Tumu Road in the early hours of Thursday, February 12. The incident occurred while the ministers and their convoys were traveling to the Upper West region to attend the 40th anniversary celebrations of Tumu College of Education and Jahan College of Education. All members of the convoy are receiving medical attention, and officials have confirmed that everyone is stable. Meanwhile, the Court of Appeal has ordered a retrial on the high-profile defamation case between politician and businessman Kennedy Ohene Ejapong and the editor-in-chief of the New Crusading Guide newspaper, Abdul Malik Kweku Bako Jr., after upholding an appeal against an earlier High Court judgment. In addition to directing that the matter be reheard, the appellate court has ordered Mr. Bako to refund all monies received pursuant to the previous High Court ruling within 30 days. The decision marks a significant turn in a legal dispute that dates back to around 2018 when Mr. Bako initiated a defamation suit against Mr. Ejapong, alleging that the latter had made defamatory statements about him. Also, the National Democratic Congress NDC parliamentary candidate for the March 3 Ayawaso East by-election, Baba Jamal, has drawn number 1 on the ballot paper, placing him at the top for voters. His main rival, Yusuf Baba Ali of the New Patriotic Party, secured the number 3 spot, while the Liberal People's Party LPP candidate, Ibrahim Idrisu, drew number 2. Independent candidates Alhaji Mohammed Umari Sanda and David Kano will appear in positions 4 and 5 respectively. The balloting was conducted at the constituency's Electoral Commission office in Accra on Thursday, February 12, following the successful filing of nominations on Wednesday, February 11. That'll be all for the summaries. Over to you, Grace.
Nura, thank you for the news summaries. Now, this is Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. Let's get into the details now. Government has announced sweeping reforms to overhaul Ghana's cocoa sector following a comprehensive review that uncovered what officials describe as 8 years of financial mismanagement at the Ghana Cocoa Board. The measures agreed at a cabinet meeting on Wednesday are aimed at restoring financial stability, ensuring fair and competitive prices for farmers, and repositioning the sector for long-term sustainability. As part of immediate interventions, Cocoa Board has been directed to pay all cocoa farmers who are owed without delay. Government will also lay a new Cocoa Board bill before Parliament to introduce an automatic producer price adjustment mechanism. The new system will link producer prices to world market trends, exchange rates, and other key variables, while guaranteeing a minimum price to protect farmers' income.
A careful review of the cocoa sector over the last 8 years revealed gross mismanagement, which requires immediate and comprehensive reforms to address the challenges in the sector. Cabinet has therefore decided on the following reforms to guarantee a fair price to the cocoa farmer, secure the financial viability of the cocoa sector, and ensure the long-term sustainability of the cocoa industry. To bring relief to unpaid cocoa farmers, Cabinet has accordingly directed the Ghana Cocoa Board to commence immediate repayment of all affected cocoa farmers. 2, a new Cocoa Board bill will be presented to Parliament to implement an automatic adjustment of producer price to align with movement in the world market price, exchange rate, and other key variables, and guarantees a minimum of 70% of gross FOB price to be paid to the cocoa farmer. A new financing model for cocoa purchases and related operations with associated benefit for increased processing will be introduced effective 2026-2027 crop season. The current financing model was invented as a necessity after the syndicated loan failed, after 32 years of successful implementation, and it was proven not to be sustainable. In fact, it has proven not to be sustainable. The financing model is entirely dependent on a buyer's willingness to bear the financing costs and to pre-finance the purchase of cocoa. The key motivation for buyers in the previous season was the rollover contract priced at a rate of $2,661 per metric ton, when the existing market price were above $8,000 per metric ton. Once the gap between the rollover contract and the market price closes, and the majority of the rollover contracts are serviced, the buyer will not be willing to pre-finance the purchase of cocoa crop. Alternatively, the previous syndicated loan model requires that Cocoa Board sells forward most of the raw beans to lock in the contract, which repays the loan and serves as collateral as well. This system did not allow Cocoa Board to optimize prices on the market. In addition, the use of raw beans contract as collateral for the loan meant that Ghana could not optimize its installed capacity for processing. The new financing model will utilize domestic cocoa beans to purchase cocoa. The new financing model will utilize domestic cocoa bonds to purchase cocoa and repay the cocoa proceeds within each crop year. The bonds will be used to raise a revolving fund for Cocoa Board to turn around at least once during the season. The model will also revive the indigenous licensed buying companies that have been completely thrown out of business as a result of the current financing model. State-owned produce buying company, PBC, will be revived to resume full operations and become the leading licensed buying company in the cocoa sector with immediate effect. With the new financing model, Cocoa Board can sell beans of any volume to local processing companies to promote value addition and job creation. Cabinet has, however, directed that with immediate effect, the remainder of the beans for the crop year 2025-2026 should be allocated for domestic processing. Cabinet has also directed that beginning from 2026 to 2027 crop season, a minimum of 50% of all cocoa beans should be processed locally. And this will be part of the Cocoa Board bill going to Parliament.
The Producer Price Review Committee has meanwhile set a new producer price of 41,392 cedis per ton, equivalent to 2,587 cedis per bag for the remainder of the 2025-26 season. This ensures farmers receive 90% of the achieved gross FOB price despite falling global prices. Finance Minister Dr. Kasiel Atoforsen says the reforms are designed to put farmers first.
As a result of that, the PPLC thereby announces that effective today, Thursday, 12 February 2026, the new producer price for the remainder of the 2025-2026 crop season will now be 41,392 Ghana cedis per ton, and 2,587 Ghana cedis per bag. This measure has become necessary to reflect the reality of the world market price of cocoa, ensure the injection of immediate liquidity for expedited payment of farmers, and guarantee the sustainability of our cocoa sector. In conclusion, government wishes to convey its sincere appreciation to the Ghanaian cocoa farmer and all stakeholders for their forbearance and sacrifice over the years. Cocoa has always been the mainstay of our economy, and wish to assure them that these reforms will protect the interests of the cocoa farmer and the cocoa sector.
Well, you have been listening to the Finance Minister, Dr. Kasiel Atofo, and he continues that under a new financing module to take effect from the 2026-27 crop season, the previous syndicated loan structure will be replaced with domestic cocoa bonds to fund purchases within each crop year. Cocoa Board will also be permitted to sell cocoa beans of any volume to local processors to promote value addition and job creation. To strengthen domestic processing, the state-owned produce buying company and the cocoa processing company will be revived to lead local buying and processing. Government says from the 2026-2027 crop season, at least 50% of Ghana's cocoa beans will be processed locally. On debt restructuring, government will seek parliamentary approval to convert about 5.8 billion cedis of legacy debt owed to the Ministry of Finance and the Bank of Ghana into equity. Additionally, road-related liabilities amounting to 4.35 billion cedis will be transferred to the Ministry of Roads and Highways to strengthen Cocoa Board's balance sheet. Dr. Forson has also directed the Attorney General to commission a forensic audit and criminal investigation into Cocoa Board's operations over the past 8 years. The Finance Ministry will further streamline operations, cut costs, and eliminate wasteful expenditure.
To ensure accountability and transparency in the management of Cocoa Board and the cocoa sector as a whole, Cabinet also directed the Attorney General to commission concurrent forensic audit and criminal investigation into the activities of Cocoa Board over the last 8 years. And I repeat, Cabinet also directed the Office of the Attorney General to commission concurrent forensic audit and criminal investigation into the activities of Cocoa Board over the last 8 years. Cabinet has directed the Ministry of Finance to initiate also immediate reforms at Cocoa Board to streamline their operations and cut costs. Wasteful and uncontrolled expenditure practices are to be curtailed immediately. The world market price has dropped significantly from the average of 7,200 tons to 4,100 per ton, making Ghana's cocoa beans uncompetitive and creating liquidity challenges. To address this, the Producer Price Review Committee, PPRC, met this afternoon under my chairmanship to assess the challenges facing the sector and review the producer price for the remainder of the 2025-2026 crop year. In order to cushion the farmer, the PPRC has recommended that the farmer be paid 90% of the achieved gross FOB of $4,200 per ton to mitigate the adverse impact on the farmer as a result of the fall in the world market price.
Finance Minister Dr. Kasiel Atofo. So as you may already know, he addressed the nation not long ago, and here is what exactly he's been telling Ghanaians about the new measures government is going to take to salvage the cocoa sector industry going forward. Immediate payment of all outstanding arrears owed to cocoa farmers. Government has ordered Cocoa Board to immediately pay farmers of all their outstanding arrears. There's going to be an introduction of automatic producer price adjustment linked to global prices and exchange rate, and also a guarantee of a minimum producer price, replacement of the old syndicated loan module with domestic cocoa bonds, permission for Cocoa Board to sell any volume of beans to local processors in line with government move to ensure value addition of cocoa produce in the country, revival of the produce buying company, which is the government license buying company, revival of the cocoa processing company, mandatory processing of at least 50% of cocoa locally from the 2026-27 year. Conversion of 5.8 billion legacy debt into equity, also transfer of 4.35 billion road liabilities to the Road Ministry, forensic audit and criminal investigation into Cocoa Board's past operations. The Attorney General has been tasked to be on that beat, as well as cost cutting and operational restructuring within Cocoa Board. And so that is what Cocoa Board, as well as the other agencies involved, are going to do. My colleague Michael Ogbedu was at the press briefing and engaged some stakeholders shortly after on that take on the raft of measures government has introduced. Let's listen to what they've been telling him.
To bear with the government, and the government has also taken a bold decision, was at this time of the crisis that he's pushing us to this point. It's okay.
At least considering the fact that the cocoa price in Ghana is still higher than that of Cote d'Ivoire, it means that you are still better off.
Oh yes, we are still better off, because as it is, the smuggling of, have you seen that from the main crop, everything is cool because of the price differential. So it's okay. But now, what I see is we are far ahead than Ivory Coast. We are far ahead than Ivory Coast. So the smuggling of our beans to that place will become a thing of the past.
Now, at least you also heard that you'll be paid your monies that were owed you. I'm sure you're happy about that.
Oh yes. Because we have our brothers and sisters, our sons and nephews, our daughters, who are now going to school. So it will help us so that we prepare ourselves very well for them to go to school.
You heard the finance minister also speak about the fact that the produce buying company will be revamped to now take its place and take its central role of the leader in purchasing of cocoa in the country. How do you feel about this?
Oh, it's a very good idea, because PBC of late is the leading cocoa license buying company, is the state owned. But because of one or two problems, PBC is now unoperational. But it's very good that the finance minister has said that PBC will come back to its tools, and it will be the leading LBC in the country.
It is driven by the forces of demand and supply. So the market might respond to what the demands and the supply are. So it always has to be seasonal. Nothing can be done about it. Like the minister already said, when the prices go up, the farmers will benefit accordingly. When it comes down, it goes up with it. They want actually now to remunerate the farmer accordingly, depending on the details of the market.
My colleague Michael Ogbedu engaged in some farmers who were at the press briefing by the Finance Ministry on new measures government intends to take to salvage the cocoa industry. Let's go to Parliament now, where the Minority Caucus within the last few minutes also addressed the media, indicating their opposition to some of the measures government has introduced, particularly reduction in the producer price of cocoa.
This was 3,100 Ghana cedis. And I remember the finance minister saying Nanadro was a cheat, and that he was cheating cocoa farmers and wicked, and that he was cheating cocoa farmers big time. They increased the cocoa price from 3,100 to 3,225, and subsequently to 3,625. Yesterday, when the cabinet emergency cabinet meeting was called, we were expecting that the president was going to give a directive that the finance minister should find money to pay cocoa farmers who have sold their produce to the license buying companies. This morning we were waiting for the press conference at 11 o'clock. It didn't happen. 1 o'clock, it didn't happen. It started somewhere around 2:30 thereabout, only to hear that the producer price has been slashed by more than 1,000 Ghana cedis. 10 million. From 3,625 to 2,587. This has never ever happened in the history of this country. Why are we treating cocoa farmers this way? Why? Cocoa farmer has never enjoyed the full benefit of the FOB. Never ever.
So, ladies and gentlemen of the press, we were told that the Minister for Finance was coming to announce what they call a restructuring of the cocoa sector. We are very surprised that the minister rather used the opportunity to shortchange cocoa farmers. Before we left government, we introduced a turnaround strategy for cocoa board, and we worked on this with the IMF. This strategy was intended to comprehensively restructure cocoa board. What is happening today in the cocoa sector is not surprising to us because this government has failed to implement the cocoa board turnaround strategy. That is why cocoa board is facing these challenges. I heard that the minister is directing to move the cost of cocoa roads to the Ministry of Roads. This measure was in the strategy, the turnaround strategy that we handed over to them. It took them 1 year. They have not implemented it. Only because there is now crisis in the cocoa sector, the minister has rushed to announce this measure, which the minister was well informed about in the strategy for turning around cocoa board, which we handed over to them. They were also supposed to legislate a transparent pricing policy for cocoa. They have not done that. They were to remove some cost items which tend to reduce the producer price of cocoa, which we thought were unnecessary and in some cases duplicative. They have not done that. They were supposed to get cocoa board to move away from non-core businesses and also to improve on efficiency and reduce cost, particularly in procurement. They have not done that. And so as far as we are concerned, this NDC government did not need to announce any new strategy for restructuring cocoa board. And as we expected, they could not announce any comprehensive strategy for restructuring cocoa board. If they implemented the strategy that we handed over to them, cocoa board will not be in this mess. And so, ladies and gentlemen, I am even surprised that the IMF is sleeping over this. Because we developed this strategy in consultation with the IMF as a requirement, one of the requirements for implementing the IMF program. I'm really surprised that the IMF has gone to sleep on this. And this government is recklessly managing the cocoa sector, which has brought us to this unprecedented crisis in the sector. Given the scale of the crisis in the sector now, a sector which is one of the most important pillars of our economy, one expected the government to give cocoa board a bailout, as we did during the MPP time, rather than reducing the producer price for cocoa. A bailout would have been necessary, particularly at the time we are told that the economy is strong and resilient. They said they are better managers of the economy. An economy that is better managed cannot pay cocoa farmers.
The Republic of Ghana did not need an emergency cabinet meeting just for the purposes of discussing how to pay cocoa farmers. When you have to call an emergency cabinet meeting just for the purposes of discussing how to pay cocoa farmers, then there's a real crisis in government, which you are covering up with some numbers and some narratives. In the previous MPP era, payment of cocoa farmers was a matter of regular procedure. Now emergency cabinet meetings are being called just to discuss how to pay cocoa farmers. But to the more substantive argument, first of all, the announcement that cocoa board should immediately pay them, that announcement is of no effect. Because that announcement presumes that cocoa board has the money and was deliberately refusing to pay the farmers. Is that what was going on? No. Because if this whole press conference is about the fact that the government went to a cabinet meeting and has instructed cocoa board to pay the farmers, seriously, it raises more questions than answers. Because unless you are saying that the money was available and Cocoa Board was refusing, then what the government should be doing specifically is instructing that emergency liquidity assistance should be released to Cocoa Board to pay the farmers, not an announcement that they should be paid. But we don't want you to forget the two main causes of the crisis we're having in the cocoa sector now. Two main causes. Number one is that the new managers of the cocoa sector have reset the trading program of Cocoa Board. We used to sell about 70% on forward sales and 30% on spot. They argued that that was an incompetent approach and decided to change it. And now they are selling about 70% on spot. That is why.
So you've been hearing some members of the minority caucus in Parliament also responding to some of the interventions government intends to take to salvage the cocoa industry or cocoa sector, especially including the fact that government has ordered for the immediate payment of arrears owed farmers. First, we heard the ranking on the food, agric and cocoa affairs sector, Dr. Isaac Yao Opoku. Committee, we also had Mohammed Amin Adam, who is a former finance minister, and then Kwajo Opon Nkrumah, former information minister. Let's talk to the cocoa farmers themselves on what all of this mean to them. We have on the line president of the Concerned Farmers Association, Nana Obadia Bonsu. Nana, thank you for joining us tonight for this conversation.
Welcome.
So government says all outstanding arrears will be paid immediately. Does this address your immediate concerns?
Yeah, well, we do appreciate that for the efforts and then the kind of thing that we also, the pressure that we also put on the government for President for money being paid has been, things have been put in place for we to have the money. What I would say is the new price that has come is something that we are looking to it, which by Monday or Tuesday, there will be a press conference for we to whether we accept the price or not to accept the price. But for now, we do appreciate that all cocoa beans that have been accepted or is at Cocoa Board will be paid by the old price, which is the 30,625. But with the current price that it is in now, I think a lot of farmers are agitating, others are saying things that is not right in a way. And as I'm speaking to you, I mean, the central region, which some of the farmers are meeting tomorrow, and also just to hear from them, and then they get a collective response from all the 72 cocoa districts before we will respond to this new price that has been made.
So if I get you right, then there's some form of mixed reaction or mixed feeling among the farmers on the new price that has been set.
Yeah, because it's a miscommunication. Others are thinking that the price, the cocoa that has been given to them is the one that they are going to give them like 2,500. And then also, others are also telling other farmers that it is not like that, but then it is the old one that is there. But we all know that it is the old price that we are going to receive with the ones that they've accepted, which is the Cocoa Board right away. But the current cocoa that has not been sold or that has not been given by Cocoa Board, that one is the new price that has come out. So this is what I'm saying, that it is today that the price just came. And as a leader of a farm organization and then a spokesperson for all cocoa farmers across the country, I think we need to solicit ideas and then also from the various ones before we will also come out with anything.
So then the government is also introducing an automatic price adjustment system that is linked to world market prices so that pertaining to what is happening on the global market, that will influence how we are going to sell our cocoa locally. Do you think this will bring more transparency and predictability for farmers?
Yeah, well, when we met the CEO of Cocoa Board, Dr. Randy Abbey, we made him know that it is a business that we are doing. So at the end of the day, when the price goes up with the international market, we also have to get the price up. When it comes down, we also have to get it down. So now that they've accepted it, that is how we also have to be on line with it or be on tone with it. But then our farmers, those on the grassroots farmers, also have to understand and know the situation on the ground. ground so that at the end of the day, it will not be like others are also playing politics with it. I'll keep on saying that when you play politics with cocoa, it will continue to decline as it has declined up to now. So we need to stay away from politics and look the way forward and how best we can make sure that our cocoa farmers will be okay and they will produce enough cocoa and quality cocoa as we have been doing for so many years.
Nana, so in all, generally, if we have to not only talk about the payment plans, but all the measures that government has mentioned to salvage the cocoa industry, do you see some lights at the end of the tunnel in all of these measures?
Yeah, well, looking at the PBC coming back, I think it is laudable and it is the best because we have a lot of LPCs in this country. Others don't even have offices, but they still go around buying, cocoa from farmers. You know, they have the license to do that. And that is another thing that we raised during our meeting, that they need to scrutinize all these LBCs for we to know how authentic that they are. You see, before maybe we can go in for the next another thing. So the new reform that it is coming, I think it is very nice, it is laudable, but at any decision or anything that the Cocoa Board will do, have to make sure that involvement of the FBOs, the Cocoa Farm-based organization, are very important, like the way around the other callers to take our concern towards this kind of thing that they want to do.
All right, Nana, thank you for talking to us. You have been speaking with Nana Obadiebunsu, president of the concerned
Thank you.
cocoa farmers.
What I want to say to the cocoa farmers is all of them have to exercise patience. By Monday or Tuesday, we are coming out to tell them what we also have in mind.
Okay, Nana, thank you for your time. Nana Obadiebunsu is president, Concerned Cocoa Farmers Association. Let's just stay on this and speak with the Chamber of Agribusiness. Anthony Morrison is chief executive of the chamber. He's joining us tonight. Mr. Morrison, thank you for your time tonight.
Thank you very much, and very good evening to you, seriously.
Right. How significant is the shift from syndicated loans to domestic cocoa bonds, and is this financing model sustainable within a single crop cycle?
Well, we are of the opinion over the years that the way we have operated the entire cocoa syndicated loan over the years hasn't been that technically helpful to the country. This is as a result of the way that, as a result of the way we handle the influx and also how we manage the quantum or the percentage of funds that are given to the farmers as a result of the global swing in the global cocoa price. But that also notwithstanding, the chamber is of the view that there is quite a lot of engagement that has to be done. A lot of consultation must be done in order for us to look at what model best suits the current global practices and the current challenges that we find ourselves as a country.
And if you look at that, government plans to convert 5.8 billion in legacy debt into equity. How does this affect Cocoa Board's balance sheet and long-term viability?
Well, it's something that we do not agree to entirely, because over the past 8 years, we have seen complete negligence and complete abuse and depletion of resources of cocoa farmers in this country, and a total complete mismanagement at the Cocoa Board. And all those who participated in that loop must be made to account for every penny. It is time we call the politicians to book and make sure that they do not take the farmers and agribusiness industry of this country for a ride. For instance, look, in the aftermath of a lot of volatility exhibited by the cocoa over the past few years, and the failure of forecasting for volumes of prices of local production, the economic basics of cocoa pricing must be re-examined. Now, why is it that we moved global cocoa price moved from $3,100 all the way to $11,000 or so, and we were still paying cocoa farmers almost 70%? Why can't we have a threshold so that in events of this nature, the Cocoa Board or government can fall on a fund and use that as a buffer so that we do not fall into the current situation we find ourselves, because we're talking about 800,000 farmers who will be unable to go through the current economic shocks, and for them to be able to adjust their economic activities in view of, though the inflations are looking good and other economic indicators are looking okay, but the substantial reduction in the cost of living allowance and all the floor price indicators, I think that is something we need to look at. For instance, if you look at the promise of 60 to 70 of FOB price to farmers, which was made some time ago, which never occurred. Okay, historically, that kind of swung within $1,000 to $3,500 range per ton on international markets would never and ever climb to the next level of $8,000 or $9,000 or $12,000. Really, we should look at how we can be unbiased and show and begin to show a scientific effort which must be made to compute the exact production, okay,
right,
the cost at the peak of the market price of cocoa, in order to devise a new model which provides a stopgap to prevent future price mismatch, and also in areas of drastic catastrophes like we have seen in the past few days. But let me be quick to add that global trading is all about market dynamics. It's all about people making certain key maneuvers. How is Ghana positioned to take intelligence on the global market such that the 50,000 metric tons that we have, which was as good as a goal for us 2 weeks ago, which could have given us maybe 11,000 or 12,000, has now fallen into a lower bracket. Okay, so speculation is a key area where we see the playing of global market prices. Who is doing some proper intelligence? Because it is really true also that Ivory Coast has a lot of over 300,000 metric tons. Is that really the case? Now, look at the case of Uruguay, where European Union actually banned the cocoa from Uruguay because of a harmful chemical. All of a sudden, European Union were buying cocoa from Uruguay. Nobody questioned why that drastic change. You see, so we are not positioning ourselves as a country and as a global leader in the cocoa industry to control and take certain steps that actually determine how global cocoa phenomenon in terms of trade, in terms of pricing, looking at the cost build-up and all these things. I mean, it's time we begin to exert certain kind of pressure on the buyers to cocoa to us. And besides, the Vice President, Excellency, have said clearly that we need to add value to over 50% of the cocoa we produce. So if we begin to add value,
I'm coming to that issue of value addition. That is where government says that the new cocoa policy is also going to ensure that 50% of the cocoa we produce locally from the 2026-27 crop season will be produced here. First off, my question on that bit is, do we have the capacity to process 50% of the cocoa we produce here, and how beneficial would this be to the country?
Let me tell you, we have absolute capacity to do so. Go to cocoa processing companies. They have a lot of orders that they come in. Okay? Now, what we need to do as a country is to take advantage of the ECOWAS, the AFTA, and the African Union, and position ourselves. The question we should be asking ourselves is, how many people in West Africa knows about chocolate made in Ghana? Okay? How many people in Africa knows about Ghana's chocolate? We're talking about market that is available to us that we are not tapping into it. And we keep going to Europe and America, and they're telling us how we should do the way we want to do our thing. Okay? We have the market here. Within the ECOWAS trade liberalization scheme, we can take advantage of because of the rules of origin. Produce cocoa, have some bilateral trade with the likes of Nigeria, the likes of Niger, Liberia, Sierra Leone, Senegal, and be able to ship thousands of metric tons of chocolate to those countries. What about South Africa? What about Morocco? What about Egypt? What about Kenya? What about Ethiopia? What about Tanzania, Zambia, Zimbabwe? We have available markets. It is time, and the chamber would like to take advantage to state here clearly that let us set up the cocoa marketing strategy in a manner that we'll be able to build data and for us to be able to produce and make sure that we are selling to each and every African country every month, expecting 1,000 metric tons of processed cocoa of high quality. That is how we need to do. That is how we need to do it, because we are losing the global market. And for no fault of the farmers, they have to go to certain situations that the government could have positioned their investment in a manner that addresses their future earnings. And that is what we need to protect, and that is what we need to advance. The cocoa farms, the national cocoa farm has been set up, and we need to also make sure that we are addressing the shortfall out of the global cocoa and add value and make sure that we are addressing our market using our competitive environment in Africa, because a lot and millions of people in Africa do not know about cocoa.
Right.
We need now to take cocoa to the next level and popularize cocoa and become for chocolate to become the most popular product in the whole of Africa.
So
these are some of the things we need to do.
Government intends to go back into the activities of Cocoa Board, going back as far as the last 8 years, and wants to conduct a forensic audit. Do you think we need that now?
Well, we have called for this last 2 weeks, clearly following all the issues that are coming out, where the previous government spent 18 million to do a forensic audit on cocoa road. Okay, who does that as a prudent management institution? Who gives $45 million to somebody to do a cocoa road and never bother to see whether the road has been done or not? You see, that situation that do not build institutions. And we agree that a clinical forensic audit must be done, and everybody that is seen to have spent even a dime, a dollar of cocoa, the cocoa farmers' money must pay for it. So we believe, and it's a good call, we support government on that.
Mr. Morrison, finally, your thoughts on all of this. How do we implement everything government intends to do so that at the end of the day, the farmer gets value, the state also gets value?
Well, we need to have our strategy in place. But my thought is that, and as a chamber, we should not be quick to go to the media and publicize everything. Our strategy must be in-house. By the time the world wakes up, we have taken over the world with our cocoa. Let's not talk about what we are doing. Let what we are doing do the talking for us, so that when the world wakes up, we are celebrating global chocolate in Africa, in Ghana, and we are bringing everybody, and we can even rotate it.
Right.
Okay, International Cocoa Festival, International Cocoa Summit. Why should we travel to Europe to celebrate International Cocoa Summit or to participate in International Cocoa Conference? Why can't we do it here in Ghana, in Africa?
Okay.
This is the home of cocoa, and we must make sure that we take our rightful place in the global chocolate and cocoa market.
Right. Mr. Morrison, thank you so much for talking to us. Anthony Morrison is Chief Executive Officer of the Chamber of Agribusiness Executive. He says, Africa is the home of cocoa, and we must take our rightful position. This is Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. Let's talk education now. The Ghana Education Service has banned 3 senior high schools for 2 years from organizing, participating in, or spectating at any sporting and co-curricular activities, including quizzes, debate, cadet programs, and entertainment events. The affected schools are Koforidua Senior High Technical School, New Jabing Senior High School, and New Insutem Senior High Technical School, all in the Eastern region. In addition to the ban, each school has been fined 500 cedis and will be surcharged for any costs arising from damage to property or injuries sustained by individuals. According to the statement, the decision was taken in line with Section 2 17 of the GS Code of Conduct on Physical and Psychological Violence, as well as the Eastern Region Schools and College Sports Association Codes of Discipline. Meanwhile, some 2 students involved in the rape and stabbing incident have been arrested by the police. Deputy Education Minister Dr. Clement Apaak, who confirmed the arrest in an interview with Martin Asiedu-Dartey on the sidelines of the A Summit in Addis Ababa, says government will do all it can to instill discipline in schools.
The current approach, as far as the ministry and government are concerned, in our aversion to acts of lawlessness and misconduct. Then came this other very worrying development where reports again came in from the Eastern region indicating that during the Super Zonals sports festival, a young girl was a victim of rape and another student was a victim of stabbing. I was the one directed by the minister to take it up, and through the Ghana Education Service, I can inform the good people of Ghana that 2 culprits have since been arrested as being part of the perpetrators of the heinous act of rape, and they are assisting the police in investigation. The young lady herself is receiving counseling, and we are doing our best to ensure that she's properly rehabilitated. Investigations are also ongoing with regards to the case of stabbing. But let me be clear to both students and particularly to parents. Students should be informed and they should know that we will not tolerate any acts of lawlessness and misconduct. And parents have a duty to ensure that their wards conduct themselves properly within the context of being in an academic environment. If they do not caution their wards and look the other way, or they don't pay attention to the conduct of their wards in school, and their wards engage in acts of lawlessness or misconduct, they should expect the most severe sanctions to be meted out to them. We need a disciplined society. We cannot build the Ghana we want. We cannot improve our conditions. We cannot think about a better future if our future leaders are allowed or we look on for them to become indisciplined citizens, acting lawlessly and misconducting themselves. So it is for our collective good to ensure that our students at all levels are disciplined and they act within the context of lawfulness.
Deputy Education Minister Dr. Clement Apaak there. This is Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. My name is Grace Hamwajiman. We have business coming up shortly. Don't go away. Come back. Let's do business on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. Finance Minister Dr. Clement Apaak has announced a landmark shift in Ghana's cocoa policy, mandating that 50% of all cocoa beans produced in the country be processed domestically starting from the 2026-27 crop year. This directive is part of a sweeping rescue plan approved by Cabinet during a high-stakes emergency meeting on Wednesday to address the sector's deepening liquidity crisis.
With the new financing model, Cocoa Board can sell beans of any volume to local processing companies to promote value addition and job creation. Cabinet has, however, directed that with immediate effect, the remainder of the beans for the crop year 2025-2026 should be allocated for domestic processing. Cabinet has also directed that beginning from 2026 to 2027 crop season, a minimum of 50% of all cocoa beans should be processed locally. And this will be part of the Cocoa Board bill going to Parliament. Pursuant to this, the state-owned cocoa processing company, CPC, will be revived as a matter of priority to become the leading processor of Ghana's cocoa beans.
Finance Minister Dr. Clement Apaak, the agriculture economist and former General Secretary of the General Agric Workers Union, lawyer Edward Kariwe, has thrown his weight behind the government's new directive to process at least 50% of Ghana's cocoa beans locally. The policy announced today by Finance Minister Dr. Apaak is set to take effect from the 2026-27 crop year, aiming to move Ghana away from its long-standing reliance on raw beans export and insulate the economy from volatile international market prices.
We can even do more than 50%. You know, it is only when government decides and takes action, and I believe in this government because there have been instances to prove that when they decide to do something, they have done it before. And I believe that the future for cocoa, the cocoa industry is the processing. And the more we are able to process the beans, the better for us. And see, you can see that even our old model of running the cocoa industry could not lend itself the opportunity for processing cocoa beans up to a certain level. Because if you do the forward sales, it means that you don't have beans for yourself to use or to process in the country. But all the beans have been motivated, so to speak, have been given up already. Now that that model has been dismantled and the new model has come, we will now have enough beans within the country, and then the choice of processing it is now left to us. So processing up to 50%, I think is feasible and it must be done.
Lawyer Edward Kariwe is the General Secretary of the General Agric Workers Union. That will be all for Business on Hot Edition. For more business stories, check out our website on 3news.com. This is still Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. We have sports coming up shortly. Stay with us.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to the sports segment here on Hot Edition on TFM 92.7. Let's start from the local scene where there's excitement ahead of Ghana's super clash between Asante Kotoko and Heart of Oak will take place on February 15th at the Babayara Sports Stadium, with the match set to be shown live on TV3 from 5 p.m. A regular face in high-profile domestic fixtures, Daniel Nilaye has been handed the job of being the center referee for the super clash. Now, on the continental stage, he was the only referee selected for the 2025 AFCON in Morocco from Ghana. Let's do some more where Antoine Semenyo has opened up on his electric start to life at Manchester City, describing his recent form as something of a fairy tale as he continues to make history in the Ghana Premier League. The Ghanaian forward is enjoying the most prolific season of his career, having officially broken the record for the most goals scored by a Ghanaian in a single Premier League campaign. The winger currently sits on 13 goals in the 2025-2026 season, surpassing the long-standing benchmark of 12 goals jointly held by Tony Yeboah and Andre Ayew. Reflecting on his sparkling form since joining the Citizens, Semenyo credited his seamless adaptation to the environment around him.
No secrets. I think it's just being part of a great team, a great environment. The coach has been great and they've made it easy for me to settle. So, yeah, it's all a fairy tale right now. Yeah, it's new to me, to be honest. I'm enjoying it, but obviously comes with a lot of pressure, a lot of demands, and I think we've got the team to do it. There's 13 games to go, 12 I think. Just need to keep going. Yeah, we have. Just going to sit tight, watch the game tomorrow, and then hopefully it goes our way. So let's see.
Before we go, let's do some more where Ghana midfielder Thomas Partey has been formally charged with 2 additional counts of rape, according to prosecutors in the United Kingdom, as legal proceedings against the former Arsenal player continue. Now, the 32-year-old is already awaiting trial in November after previously denying allegations of raping 2 women and sexually assaulting a third. The Crown Prosecution Service has now approved further charges, bringing the case back from the Westminster Magistrates Court, where Partey is scheduled to appear on March 13 in connection with the new counts that is the latest with the Partey case. Now, his lawyer, Jenny Woodshire, has also stated that Partey continues to deny all charges against him. He has cooperated with the police throughout. Given their ongoing legal proceedings, there will be no further comment. My name is Ore Kwampo for bringing an end to the sports segment here on Hot Edition on TFM 92.7.
On 3FM 92.7. It came to you from our studios here at Adesawe, Kanda, Accra. Don't forget to log on to 3news.com and get some more stories. My name is Grace Hamwa-Ajiman. Follow us, all our pages on social media, 3FM 927. Good evening and thank you for joining us.